Hi, I'm Nick,
And I'm Miki.
and this is Puzzles, a How I Met Your Mother Re-Rewatch.
Each week, we'll be breaking down episodes of How I Met Your Mother, mostly spoiler-free, celebrating the show,
Critiquing it,
asking what aged well.
and what aged poorly.
Why is it called Puzzles, Nick?
That's the puzzle. This is episode 7, Victoria.
Hi, Nick.
Hey, Mickey, how are you?
I'm so pumped to be back. It's been a few weeks. I got very, very busy for a few weeks there. Nick very graciously agreed to give me a little break. But yes, my life for the time being has rebalanced. So excited for Nick time again. I'm really excited to talk about these two episodes grouped together really well, didn't they? They're basically like one long episode.
It's like we planned it, which we did.
I don't remember planning it with that much precision. I
Well,
think
I
you
did,
did.
and you just followed it.
I just
Actually, these two episodes together are basically what formed the kernel of how I planned out the episodes per week.
oh, well, I could see that because they work perfectly together. Yeah, I don't know if you saw my notes, but
I didn't pay. Yeah, I didn't look much.
it's mostly all caps me railing against Ted. I feel like I lightened up on him for a couple episodes there, and like honest to God, today I was thinking about it, and like I've even started rewatching How I Met Your Mother as a background show, so I'm actually getting back into it because we've been discussing it. But like I expected to really dislike Ted upon rewatch, and I did not realize how much I actually hate this guy.
Well, I mean, I think maybe you're looking ahead to the hateful things he's about to do. I think more than these particular episodes, but let's see. I know have
Mm.
some rants in here.
Even as a standalone, even if we didn't get past this point and he was a perfect gentleman to all parties involved moving forward from this, sorry everybody, I'm sure everyone's getting bored of hearing me rant about Ted Mosby by this point, but
Oh, I'm sure half the audience will be at least absolutely on board with you.
oh, I gotta get it out. But first, what shows have you been watching in the past few weeks?
Well, I've actually discovered there's a podcast called Boneheads that the two of the actresses on the show Bones are doing to rewatch. They actually started last year, so they're only like just into the second season now. And it's
Mhm.
been a while since I've done a rewatch that show with just really fun
Did you rate
characters,
it?
yeah, this gross, disgusting murdered bodies. So, but yeah, it's a good time.
I don't think I've
Yeah,
seen it.
it's Dave Boreanaz
Yeah.
Angel is the one of the stars, and then Emily Deschanel, Zoe Deschanel's sister, is the co-star with him.
That's her sister?
Mhm.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I know who you're talking about because I remember it being advertised pretty heavily a few years ago, when it was on air, but I
Yeah,
could
yeah,
see that. I could see the resemblance.
yeah. I mean, I loved that show when I was on, and they're just very quirky characters, and it's more lighthearted than most like procedurals. It's a little more science heavy, and there's more heart and character in it than others. But I
Mhm.
also
Oh,
just because I saw it on Hulu, I decided to start Bunheads.
no way!
So yeah, Mickey's reacting to this. This was a show. Amy Sherman Palladino.
Paladino, yeah.
Yeah, she made it. It was after Gilmore Girls, right?
Yeah, a couple years after.
Yeah. So a podcast that we both have liked called Buffy the Gilmore Slayer, where they initially this couple rewatched Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Gilmore Girls together because they hadn't watched it. Then at some point they decided to do Bunheads and was it Firefly that they did the other one?
Yeah, because there's
They're both
2 shows. Yeah.
two one season shows, and also from the same creators. And it's not a particularly good show, I would say, but it's kind of a
Fun?
light fun. Um, and what's really interesting though is so it has the grandmother from Gilmore Girls, and then the lead actress looks a lot like Lorelai, and one
Sutton
of the
Foster.
one of the ballet students looks a lot like Rory.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny.
How far into it are you?
Oh,
How
like
far?
4 episodes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just kind of like I just wanted something light on, and it's mildly amusing. It's different. Other than that, I also picked up Devs, which is an interesting show by Alex Garland. It actually came out during the pandemic. It's about like AI and quantum computers, and There's like a it's a very weird show in terms of like the visuals, but so far I'm liking it.
It's called Debs?
Devs, like, developers.
Debs. Okay,
Yeah,
haven't heard of
actually,
it.
a bunch of people who were in the Civil War movie that Alex Garland did are in it, and, what's her name? Alison Pill?
Don't know.
Oh, she was in, Newsroom and a
Mm,
couple other anyway, I recommend it so far.
okay, sounds interesting. After I finally make my way back to episode 2 of Andor.
Yeah, so tell what have you been watching?
Well, it's funny you mentioned Bunheads 'cause, I did start so Amy Sherman-Palladino, her new show now is called Etoile.
Yeah, so that's actually one more thing that inspired me to mention it here. So what tell us about that.
Well, I'm not even halfway through the first episode. I really liked it so far. It's a lot of familiar faces, like a lot of, showrunners. She reuses the same, talent in her shows, so it's always fun to be like, oh, it's Michelle. Oh, it's the other comedian from Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. But yeah, I just haven't had time to finish the episode, but I'm enjoying it.
Is it also a dancing show?
Yes, it's a ballet show. I think she's a thing for ballet. Maybe this is how she kind of envisioned, Bunheads
Huh,
because now she's got more of a budget.
that could be. So although did I hear that was already canceled?
Etoile?
Apparently, at least that's what I saw from the,
See.
Brian and Stacy's Patreon. They're the ones who did that podcast.
Well, I'll look this up later. Well, my husband and I, a few weeks ago, we also watched the first, 2, 3 episodes of, the most recent season of The Last of Us.
Okay,
Yep.
so, you're just getting to or not you haven't actually left Jackson yet, have you?
We literally just got to Seattle.
Okay, just got you. Alright.
Yeah, at the end of the I don't forget if it was the first or second episode. It must have been the second episode, I texted Nick like, "What?"
And we won't be spoiling that here, but
I mean, by the time this comes out, yeah, there might still be people who understandably haven't seen
never
it yet.
know.
Yeah, it was I didn't have an emotional reaction to it the way I think maybe they intended,
Mm,
and I can't really explain why without spoiling, but, I was definitely surprised. And yeah, those are the big things. We finished up the most recent seasons of Clarkson Farm and, The Rehearsal, and that's been about it. Just been, like, rewatching BoJack Horseman for it's probably my 3rd time watching it, just as a
I did that
go to sleep
recently.
show.
It's a good show.
It's so good.
So did you say you were only on the 2nd episodes of Andor?
No, I haven't even started the 2nd episode.
Even okay.
It is on my list. It will happen. I just,
After Last of Us. After that, go to Andor.
okay, okay. I'll prioritize The Last of Us. So, yeah, those are the TV related things that have happened in my life the past few weeks.
Alright, shall we get into the episode then?
Oh, I cannot wait. Okay, I'm going first this week.
Oh, yeah,
So,
tell us what the episodes are. What are we covering this week?
okay, we're so episodes 12 and 13. Episode 12 is the wedding. Episode 13 is Drumroll, please. These two center around the wedding of a couple mutual friends of the gang. All right, my episode 12 is the wedding. The air date was January 9th of 2006, and here is my completely neutral episode description, which differs a little bit from Netflix's. After Ted nearly destroys a couple's relationship, trying to bring Rob into a wedding as his plus one because he's a horrible, horrible person. He then immediately forgets all about Robin and falls in love with a poor, sweet, unsuspecting woman at the exact same wedding because he is fickle AF and selfish. And we're going to get back to that. All right, buckle in. So there's three big guest stars. I didn't actually look into their background much in prepping for this episode. The big one, we only see a glimpse of her at the end of my episode, but we really get to meet her in yours. Is Ashley Williams plays Victoria. Victoria was the redeeming thing for me in these couple of episodes. I just adore her, and I guess I'll talk about why
Yeah,
later.
okay.
And then we've got Virginia Williams, who plays Claudia, the bride, in this episode, and Nat Bourne, who plays Stuart, the groom. So we start out. Ted is in his apartment and he's sifting through his mail, and you hear the voiceover of future Ted talking about, when you're single and your friends are getting married, then, you get these invites in the mail for, weddings, and you have to ask yourself, well, where am I going to be in 3 months? Am I going to be bringing a girlfriend to this wedding, or am I going to be being on a bridesmaid? But future Ted says that he was also the optimist, so he would always check the plus one box. So fast forward, Ted's on the phone with Barney. He's in his apartment. Barney's in the cab. So we've got kind of that split screen situation that they're fond of using. So Ted's talking to Barney on the phone, agonizing over who he's going to bring to this fancy schmancy wedding that he checked +1 for. Barney very tactfully tells Ted that bringing a date to a wedding is like bringing a deer carcass on a hunting trip. Um, and then there's a debate about whether that's a metaphor or a simile. I couldn't actually remember the difference. Well, I know what a metaphor is, but I couldn't remember how that differed from a simile. Do you know?
I was gonna do a quote from Community, but, it's not
It
actually
wasn't
actually
the same thing.
a metaphor. It's like a thought with another thought's hat on it.
Yeah, Britta says something about it's like a hat that another hat. I don't know.
A simile is, "This is like that." A metaphor is, "This is that."
I'm not even sure which category that would fall under then. I guess simile.
Yeah, it's a simile.
Nikipedia is confirming this. And then we hear future Ted, his voiceover as we, look through there are these different images of Robin, and you hear future Ted's voiceover that, of course, he knew who he wanted to bring to this wedding, which was Robin, the big unanswered question in his life. Because as you'll recall, the last episode, we started getting some mixed signals from Robin about whether or not she was maybe beginning to reciprocate Ted's feelings for her when she, I don't know if well, yeah, it initiated, I think, a New
Mhm.
Year's Eve kiss. But future Ted mentions, but she was dating Eric, and he goes, Eric, which has become this.
So, it's Derek.
What? I kept hearing Eric.
Well, thing is, you write D, so you must have known at some point that it's Derek,
Did I?
but you kept saying Eric when you wrote the full name out.
Well, my notes say.
You and I broke up, and
Oh, look at that. I
but you
did. Well, nobody cares about him because, the next scene we find out she's dumped him. Once again, Nick is much more of a stickler for detail than I am. So, Derek/Eric, Robin, we're at McLaren's and Robin announces that Derek/Eric, but actually Derek, and I just broke up. I will pause here and say one thing I actually have started tracking is what the gang drinks every time they're in
Ooh,
McLaren's.
okay.
So I paid attention to it a couple times in this episode, and I did notice. Again, I'm going to start paying more attention to this, but it does change. I don't think it's consistent with any one character. I guess we'll see. But
Mm.
here, Ted and Marshall are drinking beer. Lily's drinking wine, and Barney, I think he's drinking scotch on the rocks, some kind of whiskey drink. Anyway, but Robin comes in. The rest of the gang is sitting at their usual table, and she announces that her and Derek just broke up. Lily's concerned, but Robin says, we never really clicked. You kind of get the sense that Robin was the one she was the dumper, not the dumpy, because she says she feels bad that Derek seemed bummed. Barney consoles her by saying that, so here, yeah, there you go, I wrote Eric. So Barney consoles Robin by saying that Derek is rich, so he's going to be able to reel in a lot of chicks hotter than Robin right away. So Robin says, "All right, I'm gonna go get a drink now." And as Robin goes to the bar to get her drink, Ted turns to the gang and says that he thinks his feelings are resurfacing. Nobody is surprised by this. I'm sure, including the audience.
Yeah, Lily specifically said they were buried in a shallow grave.
That was a good line. But I think Ted fairly recaps that, okay, so Robin was into him at first. They did kiss twice, most recently on New Year's Eve. So I think it's fair to read into some signals on her end. Barney starts to wonder why Claudia is. So Claudia's the bride, Stuart's the groom, and Barney's trying to figure out why Claudia is even marrying Stuart because, according to him, she's way hotter. I'm actually really confused how everybody knows these Claudia and Stuart. Did they go to college together?
Sort of what I assume. Yeah, I mean, I mean, it seems like Lily knows Claudia and Marshall and Ted both know what's his face.
Oh, Stuart?
Or yeah, it just seems like yeah, it seems like Lily knows Claudia and Ted and Marshall both know Stewart. So I assume like college or thereabouts, because it wouldn't have been before college for them to kind of mutually know each other. I don't think.
Yeah, and so then maybe, like, Barney's hung out with them through maybe Barney's, like, their friend-in-law.
Yeah, I guess they must have hung out like at least sometimes, but during the show off screen.
Mhm. We might get some more information about that because, spoiler, Claudia and Stuart do come back for at least 1 or 2 episodes, beyond this season. So, Marshall and Lily are using this as an opportunity to argue over what type of wedding they'll have. The way Lily puts it, she wants their wedding to be awesome, and Marshall wants their wedding to be lame. What I'm hearing is that Lily wants more of like a hippy dippy outdoor wedding. Marshall wants something a little more classy and traditional. Marshall adds that he's been dreaming about this day since, and Lily interjects and says, "Since you were a little girl." Come on, Lily.
Uh, I do feel a little bit better about these now, knowing that it's supposed to be like a deliberate gender swapping. So they're sort of like pushing it to a little bit of extremes, and for both like the men and the women doing things are kind of the opposite. But yeah, in general, it's a bit much.
Yeah, I was thinking about how you were telling us that was the intent on the writer's part, right?
Mhm.
And I think it works better in a later scene in this episode. I still find Lily's attitude distasteful. It's because this happens like every episode now.
Yeah, it's a little bit reinforcing of the stereotype too much, I think.
Yeah. So apparently, though, Lily decides that at the end of the day, she gets to make the final call about wedding plans because she's the bride. So, according to her, she wins. Barney, as Barney does, he gets hung up on one thing and he just can't move past it. And he just can't move past the fact that, Claudia's dating Stuart. Barney says that he has hooked up with uglier women, but to be fair, he was drunk. And there's no way Claudia's been drunk for 3 years. So they've been out of college 3 years. So then maybe they didn't meet in
Yeah,
college?
yeah, it was Marshall's. Is he second year law school?
Yeah, because I don't think he started law school right after college because they graduated, what, like 1998 or something?
I
Hold
don't
on, they're
remember.
28 now, right? Okay, so they're like
Yeah.
6 years out of college probably, so maybe not.
Hmm.
They're probably like maybe class of like 99, 2000-ish.
Yeah, I guess at least one of them might have known them in college, and then the other became friends later on, maybe.
Let's make that our headcanon. It doesn't really matter, but so Ted decides he's going to invite Robin to the wedding. First he tries to act all cool the way he asks it.
Mhm.
"Hey, do you want to be my plus one?" And Robin kind of flirtily calls him out on it, like, "Ooh, plus one, so romantic." And then he says, "Fine, would you want to be my date?" And she's legit excited.
Yeah. Yeah, she is.
Yeah, and so much so that she runs right to Lily, and they decide that they only have 4 days to find a fancy enough dress for her to bring it. She's gonna, they start this little like runner throughout the episode of like how they're gonna to bring it with her for this fancy wedding. I don't know why it's so hard to find a dress in 4 days in New York City, but
You know, if it's black tie fancy and reasonably affordable and different styles, yeah, I could see it. Like you have to try them all on and see how they look. I can imagine it taking a while.
well, in any case, it'll be a fun excuse for Lily and Robin to go shopping. So back at the table, Lily and Robin, they run off on their suicide mission to find a dress in 4 days. And back at the table, Ted's gushing about this romantic night he's going to have with Robin. He thinks there's something there, a little music, a little champagne. Barney says that he's going to revoke Ted's dude membership. Ted counters, "Didn't Barney have a manicure yesterday?" Barney's, "Yep, completely unashamed, proud of his manicure. Good for you, Barney. Self care is important. Don't apologize." So you get this almost like a dream sequence with these sparkly twinkly little lights, and you see, Ted is imagining dancing with Robin at this wedding, and future Ted says, at that time I thought that's how it worked. You put yourself, with this girl that you liked in a romantic setting and just got the moment right, and then that's how you fell in love. But, apparently reality doesn't work that way. The next scene, we get the pleasure of meeting Claudia. She is the funniest bridezilla to me. She's so high maintenance, but
I like this actress.
her delivery in these lines was so good.
Mhm.
Starting right with, Ted's running into Claudia on the street who's on the cell phone, going off at probably some poor, "Whoa, just occurred to me, I know who she's talking to now.
Yeah,
Where you go?"
the actor as himself.
Oh my good, did you just figure that out yourself too? Oh, now I feel even worse for, well, I guess, can I spoil it at this point who she's talking to?
Let's leave it. People who
We'll
know
leave
know.
it. We'll
No,
leave it, okay.
Or they can go look and they'll be surprised.
Well, anyway, Claudia is berating some poor person over the phone about how her wedding cake better be Tahitian vanilla. She gets off the phone. She's clearly really frazzled. She's about to get married. But she says, "Hey, Ted, well, Ted says he's looking forward to the wedding." And she says, "Oh, well, you better because there's going to be a lot of single girls at the wedding." But Ted says, "Well, actually, I'm bringing a date." And Claudia's whole demeanor just flips. And no, Ted, you are not bringing a date because you did not check plus one. Ted is adamant that he did so, but Claudia aggressively like grabs his coat and gets in his face and she's yelling at him like you did not check plus one. You are not bringing a date. And this horror music swells up before the commercial break. So back on the street, after the commercial break, Claudia and Ted are arguing about whether Ted actually did check plus one. Claudia has this amazing rant where, okay, well, if you had actually checked plus one, then I would have called to get the name of your date so that I could have a name card filled out and get, what she wants for a meal. Do you see how your story is full of holes? Again, great delivery.
Um,
Ted starts begging her to, allow him to bring Robin to the wedding, and again, this horror music swells up, and Claudia tells Ted, "Don't make me hurt you." At McLaren's, Ted is having drinks with Barney and Marshall. I did note everyone's drinking the same drinks they were in the first scene at McLaren's. Barney doubts that Ted checked the plus one. He says that deep down, he didn't want to date because single is his default setting. And at all times in the back of Ted's brain, there's a little Barney who's controlling his actions. And he does this great little, like, aha, kind of elf little voice.
oh, nice. Nicely
Thank
done.
you. I think we hear Barney do this again. I think we see an actual little Barney at some point in a later episode, don't we?
That sounds vaguely familiar and not a euphemism.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, like to clarify, like a literal little Barney. Marshall advises Ted to let it go. Claudia has enough to worry about and just uninvite Robin. Now we're at Robin's store. Ted knocks on the door and really great callback. You hear a million dogs go off and start barking. Lily immediately comes rushing out the door, closes it behind her, and starts gushing to Ted about the dress that they found for Robin. And also that Lily has been laying the groundwork for Ted all day, and Robin is responding really positively. So Lily clearly wants these two to get together. I think she always has.
Yeah. And she's a very good wingwoman for that.
She was. Props to Lily. Ted comes into the apartment and beholds Robin in a pretty rockin' dress. Did you like this dress?
Yeah. Yeah. Very flattering.
Yeah, it's long, it's elegant, it's like a red ball gown almost. It's a little booby. It's really pretty. She's so excited. Ted looks at her. He cannot bring himself to uninvite her. So he's just says something to the effect of, I'll pick you up at 5." So we have a commercial break. And again, we're in a taxi. Maybe this is, because it's New York. I feel like we get a lot of scenes where people are having conversations either on a phone or together in a taxi.
Yeah.
Good
Makes
place to
sense.
catch up. So presumably, Ted and Lily shared a cab back from Robin's apartment. Ted catches Lily up on the situation. She suggests sneaking Robin into the wedding, but Ted points out they're not ninjas, and Lily says, "Oh, I wish we were ninjas." Lily suggests asking Stewart for permission to bring Robin to the wedding.
Bad idea.
Oh, Lily. I mean, obviously, I'm gonna rail against Ted here a lot, but
Is it really Lily's fault?
she it was contributory negligence, I'd
Okay.
call it. But yeah, Ted jumps on that advice, and next scene at what I guess must be Claudia and Stuart's apartment. Stuart seems way more chill than Claudia is right now. Scene starts with him saying, "Yeah, that's fine. Don't worry about Claudia. At our rehearsal today, she called the 7-year-old flower girl a whore." So funny. So Ted thanks him, but I guess Stuart must be a little tense with wedding preparations as well because he opens the door and kinda holds it open pointedly for Ted to leave, so I guess Stewart doesn't really have time for Ted's nonsense right now.
And I think he's sort of suggesting that Claudia kind of is like that a lot of the time. It's not just the wedding.
Yeah, yeah, I guess so. Well, back at the apartment, Marshall appears to be studying behind the couch. Lily's reading a magazine on the couch in front of him, and she turns to Marshall and says, "You know, this magazine says that more people are having weddings, non traditional weddings in the woods." So Marshall sarcastically says, "Well, okay, if a magazine says so, then we should get married in the woods like a bunch of squirrels." So, Lily says squirrels don't get married, and being Marshall says, "How could you possibly know that?" I like the idea of little squirrels getting married. Ted comes in and catches them up. Marshall, thank goodness we have a voice of reason to cling on to in this episode. He said, "You went around the bride. It's like you kicked a hornet's nest. It's, hey, great idea. Let me feed these gremlins after midnight."
You ever seen Gremlins?
Have in college.
You saw it, but I didn't. Yeah, I never saw Gremlins. I don't think.
Oh, well, if we ever do like a one off where we're recapping a movie or something, we could do Gremlins.
I don't know if I have any need to watch it. Is it actually good?
I was a little drunk when I saw it, so I found it hilarious. It's
Sure.
really it's one of those movies that where it's, like, so bad that it's good.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Don't go into it expecting quality.
I would not.
So Marshall confronts Lily there because this ongoing argument they're having is that the groom should get equal say, and Lily says, "Okay, yeah, sure," about, like, dumb stuff, like who's on the guest list. So Marshall, tries to call her bluff and says, like, "Okay, so you'd be fun if I just invite anybody?" And she's like, "Yeah, there's plenty of room in the woods." Ted's phone rings. It's Claudia. Ted is terrified and hands the phone off to Lily. Lily answers it, looks horrified. Her face acting is so good here.
It's great.
Cut away to Stuart and Claudia's apartments, and
Ted says like he wasn't there, so he doesn't know what happened, but it went something like this, and then
yeah, yeah. So again, one of those situations where it's like someone telling a story about a story someone told them. But yeah, we see Claudia and Stuart have a massive fight, and I love how they did this. But so Stuart says kind of offhandedly to Claudia, "Oh, by the way, Ted came over, and I let him. I told him he can bring his date to the wedding." And they kind of speed up the fight, and then they'll pause it at random moments so you can kind of check in with where this fight has progressed. So, they're talking, at one point Claudia's like, "You're always undermining me," and Stuart's like, you can never be flexible. At one point Claudia starts yelling about his mother
and your mother.
and your mother. And oh my gosh, I think they do this in another episode at some point, but I absolutely love this. It's for me, it felt so authentic how a fight can just devolve and end up into a place that whatever the original point of the fight was, somehow you've gone onto their mom or something.
Yeah.
I would honestly love to hear this fight in real time.
So actually, someone on Reddit tried to decode most of it. It's not actually that interesting, but I'll read off what's here. Part of the planning every day for the past 18 months. Who suggested the jazz as a band, huh? It would be nice if you tried to show a little flexibility, but no, it's all about you. It probably would have been a lot cheaper. And then this person says it's harder to tell. Maybe something about how they hadn't had sex in months or something. And then Claudia throws like the wedding planning book at him.
Is that what she threw?
Um,
Because I rewound that like twice. I couldn't figure out what she threw at
it
him.
looked like a magazine. It's a magazine, like a thick magazine that has like some ad on the back. It's probably some wedding planning thing.
Hmm.
Maybe the same one Lily was reading earlier.
Oh, maybe.
And your mother calling me all the time. She's just trying to help. She's trying to make my life hell. And then the wedding's off. So that's as far as that, at least that person got. And I only stopped at the first one I saw. So
Well,
I imagine
that's
someone
impressive.
somewhere had slowed down all the audio to make it more audible, but I just didn't put in the work for that.
Well, I appreciate that you looked that up. In the back of my mind, I kind of felt that you were gonna have the answer for me. Well, as Nick says, the argument concludes with Stuart calling off the wedding. So at the apartment, Lily's kind of mouthing at Marshall and Ted, like, they broke up. And Marshall smacks Ted correctly. So after Lily confirms that Ted was the cause of this breakup. We're looking at a split screen between Lily in the apartment, Claudia in the taxi. Claudia's crying that her dad has paid for this huge wedding and that he's going to kill Ted and then she's going to kill Ted.
And again, I loved her lines over that I'm gonna kill Ted.
This woman deserves an Emmy for this episode. Honest to God, she's so funny. So while this whole conversation is going on between Lily and Claudia, Robin starts calling Lily's phone. So Ted answers, and Robin's calling Lily to tell Ted that she got these really rocking shoes, and she, wants to Lily to tell Ted that, and Ted's like, "Oh, okay, yeah, that's great," and pushes her off the phone. Robin looks a little confused. Now Ted's spiraling because, oh my gosh, Robin bought these expensive shoes. She's expecting to come to this wedding. And then he kind of pauses and lights up. And, ooh, I wonder if Robin really is into me. And Marshall resets Ted, tries to put him back on. He tells, he looks really serious and says, like, Ted, focus. He's so self centered. My God. Like, he only cares about these two staying together so that he can invite Robin to the wedding.
Yeah.
That is the only reason. He
Mhm.
is this person. Lily asks Claudia if she wants to go somewhere and talk. Claudia wants to go somewhere and drink. Don't blame her.
Probably not.
No. Marshall says, okay, Lily, you go comfort Claudia. Me and Ted, we're going to go try to talk some sense into Stuart. Lily said that Claudia says that Ted owes her dad $400,000 if there is no wedding tomorrow. That's when I literally paused my TV. $400,000. Are
Yeah. First of all, her parents must be rich.
Who
'Cause
are they?
good question. I mean, they rented a whole nice hotel ballroom. Yeah, they said it was black tie. Like that's pretty fancy. Like for a wedding. Like that means everyone is wearing tuxes. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I
Probably
mean,
open bar.
yeah, well, still, I mean, well, to give you a little context, because I actually looked this up out of
Mm,
curiosity a few months ago for my own purposes. The average American wedding is about 33,000, which still seems like an absolute joke to me.
mm.
In India, the average is about a little over 100K, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh man, they those weddings are no joke.
You had both, right?
We did, except so we had 2 COVID weddings. Nick came to our American one. We were going to have a wedding in India, but that's was when, like, the travel restrictions were in place between the US and India. It was, like, end of 2021, early 2022. So we ended up canceling our plans to actually go to India to get married. Context, everyone, my husband's from India. So we ended up having the world's smallest Indian wedding. It was just our parents. They came over to the States, and it was the priest and the photographer, and that was it. And we were in the park, and it was perfect. And
Oh,
having now gone and participated in an actual Indian wedding, oh my goodness, I could not handle it. I don't have the stamina. We actually passed out and fell asleep through an entire event one night, like in our clothes, bed.
why did you need so much stamina to do it?
It's like a week of partying from, like, dawn till midnight.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's absolutely exhausting.
I guess that would be why it's so expensive. It's so long.
Yeah, certainly it's part of it. Yeah, it's one of my, like, personal pet peeves how much people spend on weddings. I also
Mm.
one of the things I always say is, like, the 2 biggest waste of money, in my personal opinion, are weddings and funerals. Both of our weddings, they were so low key. We did not spend a lot on either wedding, and I would like to think that's a big reason why I was not a bridezilla, because you remember what happened the day of our American wedding, where 3
Mm.
hours before the wedding, our venue got changed. And did I freak out?
Yeah.
I was cool because at the end of the day, it was not $400,000 and we could just set up some picnic tables in the backyard and I would still be married at the end of the day. So, anyway, I think this is just a perfect illustration of why it's a bad idea to spend a buttload of money on a party
Mm.
because you put so much pressure on it and people end up breaking up and flipping out and having panic attacks over. I guess well now I'm in a ranty mood today.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Well, we're at McLaren's. Claudia beats Lily there. I don't really know how because Lily's right upstairs in the apartment.
Yeah, that's so weird.
She was very eager to get to that bar. Barney, however, I guess had his antenna up. He must have intuitively known that there was a very vulnerable woman at that bar that day, and he immediately starts hitting on Claudia. She's crying. She tells Barney that her and Stuart just broke up. So Barney orders a couple vodka cranberries, and she looks so touched that he remembered her drink order. And then he kind of winks at the bartender, like, "Oh, they all order that." I mean, that's fair. I did in my 20s. That was one of my go-to drinks.
What's so great about vodka cranberry?
They're delicious.
Okay, fair enough.
Kinda want one now. Claudia mentions the $400,000 again, and Barney hugs her. Also, like, aren't you more upset that, like, your fiancé broke up with you and not about, like, all the money? I mean, be upset about the money too, but I don't know. I'm sure she loves
Mm,
him. At Claudia and Stuart's apartment, Ted and Marshall are trying to talk some sense into Stuart, talk him out of the breakup. Stuart's packing up some boxes. He says that he actually misses being single. He misses, in particular, being able to own porn. I think Marshall says something like, "Oh, yeah, who doesn't?" But Stuart says, here I am with Claudia, and I see this super hot model chick walk by and think, oh, I could be with her. And Ted kind of says, that's crazy. And then quickly tries to cover for him.
but he's right. Yeah,
I mean, objectively, like, Claudia is like a supermodel. Stuart's just like normal looking dude.
yeah.
I mean, I'm sure he's got a great personality.
Not that we've seen much evidence of.
We're seeing both of them at their worst, to be fair.
Sure.
Stuart says, I do want to get married, but not yet. I'm a single guy. And Ted's desperately trying to convince Stuart to change his mind. Again, probably purely out of selfish reasons.
Yeah,
But
like, he even says, like, he just mentions, like, commitments and something and, like, etcetera. He doesn't do a very, very good job of trying to convince Stewart.
and I think he recognizes that because he then appeals to Marshall and says, look, this guy's basically already married. He's been with Lily for like whatever it is at this point, like 9 years. Tell him, Marshall. And Marshall kind of sighs and looks like what he's about to say is hard. He doesn't want to say it, but he has to. He says, Stuart, don't get married. You know, marriage involves, relationships involve sacrifices and compromises. But if it's the right person, it should feel easy. And Stuart kind of pauses to consider this. I want to come back to this. I have some feelings about Marshall's advice.
Okay.
Curious about your take on this too. So at McLaren's, Barney's hovering over drunk Claudia. She's, kind of like leaned back against like the bench. They're getting a little cozy.
Mhm.
Claudia's lamenting that she's only 28. She's only ever been with Stuart. Barney is so eager. He's like my cat when I get out a bunch of like treats and he hears me shaking. Like he's oh my god, he's being so gross right now. He keeps ordering her more vodka cranberries. Claudia's like she's holding Barney's hand, and thank goodness Lily comes in and she grabs Barney by the ear and drags him away from Claudia. Lily threatens to squeeze Barney's peanuts until his eyeballs pop out, and then she's going to feed them to him. Barney asks, wait, the eyes or the testicles? And Lily decides one of each, an appropriate punishment. And then Marshall and Ted and Stuart walk into the bar, and immediately, like, Stuart and Claudia run up to each other and start like apologizing and hugging each other. Stuart says, oh, when Marshall told me don't get married, it made me realize how much I love you. And Claudia like leaps at Marshall and tries to attack him when he says that. But Stuart and Claudia, they're kissing, they're making up. Barney's in the background looking really annoyed. His face was actually pretty funny. Then Ted, has to really provoke Claudia, and he said, "Okay, so about this plus one thing," and Claudia, like, oh god, like, she even her physical comedy's so good, she just whips right around and just, like, goes to beat him senseless, and Stuart's trying to hold her back. Future Ted says it took about 3 more cranberry vodkas to subdue Claudia, but eventually she graciously agreed that Ted could invite Robin. So everyone got a happy ending, I guess. Maybe.
Except Barney.
Except Barney. But it's fine because he's gonna have a lot of bridesmaids to hit on. So now we find ourselves at Robin's door. Ted's in a tux, knocking at the door, looking very cute. And Robin opens the door looking just breathtaking. They have their little bit about, oh, did I bring it? Yeah, I think I brought it. But when Ted comes into the apartment, Robin's phone rings and we hear from the one-sided conversation that they want her to come in and anchor the news last minute. She does say what happened to Sandy. I just wanted to put a little pin in that because we're going to meet Sandy.
Sandy Rivers.
Sandy Rivers. She's looking so excited, but then she looks at Ted like, "Oh my gosh, hold on, I've already committed to this wedding with you." But Ted, he tells her, "Do it." He mouths, "Do it."
I mean, it's her career opportunity that she's not likely to get for a little while longer. Like, yeah, I mean, how could you stand in her way?
And, I would give Ted credit for supporting her were it not for his subsequent actions at the end of this and the following episode.
All right, let's get to it.
We're at the wedding. Marshall and Lily are dancing, and they are just in love with these crab puffs at the wedding. They realize, oh, well, we actually finally agreed on something. We've started planning our wedding. And then they immediately start arguing about the sauce. So we get this great cutaway to see Robin anchoring the news while this wedding's going on. And it's something to the effect of like, do snakes live in your walls? The answer may surprise you. So might not have been completely worth it, but obviously it was a good career move. Also, like speaking, Tennessee's just been horrible this week for so many reasons, politically, weather-wise. This was a bad Supreme Court day. But yeah, so in the town right next to ours, there's like a video. Someone stopped in traffic and this big, horrifying long snake just crawls up into this person's car. I don't know how they
How?
got
Like into where?
into the I don't know if they got through a pipe. I couldn't really see clearly from the video, but you just see this long ass snake go slithering right up into this person's car who's just like stopped at a traffic light.
That's freaky.
They're definitely dead. Tennessee has all sorts of killer snakes. Ugh. Back at the wedding, Claudia and Stuart are dancing. Oh, not to sound catty, I do not like Claudia's hair here. I do not like her dress.
Hmm,
Probably the dress is $100,000.
sure.
We zoom in on Barney and Ted. They're sitting, drinking champagne and talking. Barney says Stuart is his hero because he landed Claudia. And if Stuart land Claudia, then Barney should be able to land a 16, which apparently is those two eights in the corner. Claudia and Stuart come over to take a photo with the woman who almost ended their relationship, but Ted explains that she couldn't make it. Claudia laughs and Ted asks what's so funny. And Claudia says, plan a wedding and you'll see. Ted starts to ponder here, and I guess he must be reflecting on Marshall's advice to Stuart earlier
Mhm.
about,
Yep.
it should be like that, right? He's looking at Claudia and Stuart and saying, this should be simple, it should be easy, and it's just not that way with Robin. So here's where I want to stop and pause. I want to talk about Marshall's advice, and I want to talk about Ted's response to it.
Sure.
I don't agree with Marshall's advice. I don't think everything should feel like work. But I think it's unrealistic, in a long-term relationship to expect things to be easy all the time when it comes to compromises and sacrifices. I don't think it's realistic.
Yeah, I mean, doesn't he say on some level, like not all the time, but the basics of it should be you want to be with the person and they want to be with you, and that's just
Mhm.
kind of given. Or do you think it's different than that? Or maybe it's Ted who's taking it to an extreme.
You know, it could be Ted taking it to extreme. As you've pointed out before, we're getting an unreliable narrator in the sense that this is Ted telling the story and also telling the story, what, 20 something years in the future. So Marshall could have said and meant something a little different, and Ted just took this to justify, honestly, his really flaky, fickle, indecisive behavior here. I, okay, first of all, Ted, you told her, go to work. You literally, word for word, we've got a transcript. Do it. So you can't encourage her to pursue a career opportunity that you know is important to her, that you know that matters to her, and then subsequently punish her for it. Not fair. Second, Ted, go get a cup of coffee with her tomorrow morning like a normal human being. It does not have to be this big elaborate thing. It doesn't have to be this big romanticized. Calm down. It's like he either has to have a perfect moment, a perfect relationship, or nothing at all. Also not fair. Also, if someone is really worth it, you will put in the effort. And he was being asked to put minimal effort into the situation. He had to go stag to wedding one night. I do not think Robin was going to lose interest tomorrow. I don't think her schedule was going to change dramatically. There's absolutely no reason that he should be sitting here whining about this. I don't know. Ted pissed me off all the ways that he could in this moment, and it obviously only gets worse for me in the next episode.
Hear you. I think you're mostly right. I do wanna add a little bit of a twist to a couple things, if
Okay.
you don't mind. So, I don't think he's thinking about it as, like, punishing Robin, because I think from his perspective, like, he's been pining after her for a long time, and she hasn't been interested, and he understands those reasons, and now he asked her to a wedding. He saw that she seemed excited, but he doesn't actually know it's about being interested in him, and so he's not fully taking it as, like, she wants to be with me. And because I mean, I mean, it's unfair that he's thinking this way, but, like, she chose to go to work, and even though it's good for her career, like, it's like, well, that was more important than me, so, yeah, that validates his previous, like, fears about the situation, I think. So, unfair or not, I think it's understandable he might be thinking, kinda spiraling a little bit in this moment, and as he's not just thinking about this one night, he's thinking about the entire relationship with Robin, the purple giraffe and all that, and the
Mhm.
blue and the smart penis and all that relationship, and not like knowing what Robin's priorities were and what his were and why this didn't work out the first time. So I think all that is coming into this moment where he's like this is what like, oh, this is a one chance to like see if something could happen, and it didn't work, and I already have these doubts about it. I then don't know what to do about it. And so, yeah, not fair, but also I think I can understand why Ted is in this mindset.
Mhm.
And he's not thinking about it, I don't think, as a punishment for Robin. He's thinking about it just it's entirely selfish. It's entirely his own thought processes. So Robin's kind of secondary to what he's kind of thinking through and what he's gonna do, I think, in the next minutes of this episode, next episode.
Mm.
I do think so. Yeah, the coffee tomorrow. I think linked to like does he doesn't actually know if Robin really likes him at this point. So, what would it mean to get coffee in the morning? Would it be as friends or not? And he's also looking for a romantic moment, and so like it it's a confusing thing I think for Ted, and he was hoping that the wedding would give him an opportunity to re-experience what they experienced before, and a coffee date in the morning wouldn't necessarily do that. And of course, like there wouldn't be another excuse like a wedding with a plus one, where it would be natural to invite someone who you may or may not know has feelings for you, to be
Mhm.
safe to invite them. Whereas, like, if there was another opportunity, he would actually have to invite her on a date, completely, like, open himself up to her rejection again. And maybe he's thinking he doesn't wanna go through that again. So, again, I think you're totally have some good perspective on Ted, but I think within the story, within Ted's mind, I think it's understandable.
That actually helps me with this scene a little bit, thinking about it in terms of not just, the events of this one night, but the entirety of their relationship and kind of Ted maybe not being certain about Robin's feelings toward him. Like this wedding would kind of be the opportunity to explore that because otherwise they're just back in like a more of a platonic setting where, he'd be more vulnerable. Is that what you're saying? Like, he'd be more opening himself up to a more vulnerable place if it's not like, he could just ask her on a coffee date, given, their history.
Yeah, and outside the wedding context, maybe, Robin's practical considerations about whether they being compatible will come to the forefront again, so it would just be the
Mhm,
same situation before. So I think that I mean, even though it is asking too much of a wedding and, yeah, it's too idealistic to think, "Oh, you put yourself in a romantic situation, and
mhm,
that should be the spark that makes everything happen." I think for their relationship, it would have been an opportunity to kind of break out of the normal and explore it, and it was a kind of a once in a lifetime, or at least, a very rare chance. So yeah.
mhm. Yeah, I think the only things I would say in response to that, I think right before Ted was gonna ask Robin to the wedding, he was focusing in on the facts that would support his theory that she was into him. So I don't think that that changes after the wedding. I think that he's just how do I say this? Like, I think, he needs to focus he shouldn't be focusing on those, facts only when it's convenient for him,
Sure,
if that makes sense.
sure.
Also, knowing what we know about Ted up to this point in the series, I'm sure that he could manufacture another romantic situation that he could thrust him and Robin into where he could more safely explore, how does she actually feel about me?
I be he probably could, although I don't know if it would be safe at that point. Because I think, maybe he would risk losing Robin as a friend if he, like, pushed it that far again.
Like if she found out like, oh, he's well, I guess like with the party thing, right? With the 3 parties.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, the wedding was a safe place to explore this, and if he tried to manufacture something, then it might seem like a kind of a threatening push from Ted rather than,
Mm,
uh, opportunity. But,
alright,
these are complicated things to navigate.
right. Well, uh, Claudia, comes back to Ted and hands him his RSVP and says, "By the way, we found this," and, sure enough, Ted did not check +1. So, Ted takes this to mean, "You know what? Maybe I am a single guy. Maybe I'm on board with Barney here." So they clink champagne glasses. Barney's talking to himself, strategizing about landing all these bridesmaids, and Ted looks up across the room and sees Victoria. I think we can say her name at this point. Victoria's kind of stirring her drink, looking bored, and then she looks up and meets Ted's gaze and gives him just the biggest, widest smile, kind of reminiscent of the first time Ted noticed Robin across the crowded, just like locking eyes.
Robin yeah, but, in that case, Robin gave out just a little smile. Just like
Oh
a
yeah,
little, like, soft, like, seductive smile, and here
hmm
are just beaming.
yeah. Oh, I'm so excited to see Victoria. My notes also say, "Also run, Victoria!" with 3 exclamation points because
Yeah,
he's gonna
yeah.
do her
She's gonna have the right
dirty.
idea here, and she should have listened.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah. So that's it, for this episode.
yeah, I like the episode. One thing I wanted to mention, so I feel like attending weddings is not as much as it's cracked up to be that you see in shows like this.
Mhm,
Like, I've never had a +1 to a wedding, never hooked up with anyone at a wedding. I've been to 6 of them so far
mhm.
as an adult. So yeah, these things just don't happen that much.
Yeah, not the way they do on TV typically. I didn't have any That's So Aughts, did you?
Yeah, not in this episode. I guess we could say maybe the wedding dress or something. Maybe that's why you didn't like it. Dated.
I don't even know if that it was a matter of it being of the time. I think it was just kind of an ugly dress.
Fair enough.
How did you rate the episode?
I gave it 4 out of 5 scroll weddings.
It's so much better than mine.
Yeah,
Why
it
did you
was
agree?
really funny. I mean, especially like Claudia and Stuart are great characters, especially
Mhm.
Claudia. Yeah. What about you?
3 out of 5 cranberry vodkas.
Mhm. Nice.
Yeah, for similar reasons. The reason it got as high as it did was because Claudia was just fantastic. It was a very funny episode. Obviously, Ted annoyed the bejesus out of me, but I really enjoyed a lot of the jokes.
Yeah,
All
great.
right, that's all I gotta say.
So yeah, yeah. Let's move on to the drum roll, please.
Yeah, part
Um,
2.
yeah, part two of this double feature. Although there were 2 weeks between these two episodes. This aired on January 23rd. I imagine just because of these were aired on Mondays and that Martin Luther King Day was in the middle, I assume.
Mm.
So again, we have Ashley Williams back as Victoria, not to be confused with a character by the same name, Ashley Williams in Mass Effect. For anyone who's a nerd out
Is that
there,
a video game? That's a video game,
yes,
right?
yeah.
Okay.
So in this episode, we see two interwoven timelines. At the wedding, Ted has an amazing evening and unconsummated foreplay with Victoria, who mutually agree never to see each other again. The next day, Ted desperately tries to find her again. Meanwhile, Robin realizes she actually does have feelings for Ted.
Good synopsis.
Thank you. All right, so let's dive into the episode. So we start with a montage, feature Ted talking over black and white wedding photos. And he says, "Kids, in life, there are a lot of big romantic moments, and they make life worth living. But here's the problem: moments pass, and lurking just around the corner from those moments is a cruel, unshaven bastard named reality." And so, back in 2006, on the night of Claudia and Stuart's wedding, reality was the enemy.
Hey, who do you think the people are in these photos?
I don't just random people.
It could be cool if it were like, crew members or something.
Yeah. I will have to listen to the official podcast, and we'll find out.
Yeah,
Apparently,
let me know.
all right. So we pick up right where they left off last episode with Ted and Barney at the wedding. Lily and Marshall are behind them at the table. Barney is chatting up a bridesmaid, and she's very impressed that Barney is in the Peace Corps apparently, and he's shipping out tomorrow. Tanya, the bridesmaid, is so infatuated that she asks if there's anything she can do, and Barney is like, "I have her," and he goes to whisper in your ear. Meanwhile, Ted is dejected, and we get this previously on summary from the narrator, because obviously it's been 2 weeks and people don't really have many DVRs by this point, and so you still have to keep people up who haven't been paying attention. So then Ted looks over and sees a beautiful woman across the room who smiles at him. Fun fact: the early shots of Ted in this scene already have him kind of like looking dreamily across the room, so they kind of switched the order of some of these shots, I think.
Hmm.
All right, so he sees Victoria. Then we're in the apartment. In the next morning, Ted comes out of his room and Lily and Marshall on the couch. Ted is smiling, and Lily asks where he was all night. Ted says he had the most amazing night ever. Marshall interjects that the cake was so amazing, and he narrates his stomach talking to him. And then Lily joins in, and the stomach, praising the cake. Now, important science fact: stomachs don't have much of an opinion on what they contain, just how much they contain. The pleasure of eating entirely comes from taste, smell, and texture. It's all the mouth.
Science corner with Nick.
Science corner. Stomachs don't talk. Ted snaps him back to reality. Most amazing night ever, and go is what Marshall says to get them back into the, or Lily. Who says that? One of them says that.
I
So we
remember.
we go to the wedding. Ted and the woman are chatting at the table. She's telling him that she has this rule to never hook up at weddings. Her theory is that the big romantic moments aren't real, and Ted jokes that he was taken in by her chicken dance, and she retorts that he'd be down on bended knee for her tap dancing, which Ted says, sadly not out of character. By the way, chicken dance. That was definitely a 90s thing, wasn't it? Or before?
I
'Cause
feel like they
I haven't
did
really
that.
seen that at any wedding ever since, at any of the ones that, um
I can't believe I didn't add the chicken dance onto my wedding playlist. Um, I feel like I did it a lot at roller rinks in the 90s.
yeah, I remember that, and Hokey Pokey.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, listeners, if you're out there, write in if you've done a chicken dance at a wedding in the last 5 years, and let us know if it's still a thing.
Or maybe, like, just any event. I don't know where else you would do it, like a
I
reunion.
imagine if there are roller links, it'll still be at roller links because that's kind of like a holdover from that era anyway.
I drove past one the other day.
Really?
Mhm.
Yeah, we used to have one, like 25 minutes from where I grew up. I remember going when I was a kid. Definitely went out of business though. So, the woman names this as wedding goggles, and Ted says, "Well, see, that's why I'm not putting moves on you." And Ted is just kind of agreeing with her here to get her to like him. Like, he's clearly just like, he never had this idea before in his life. He's just going along with this because he likes her.
Mhm.
And then, but she says, "Oh, this isn't the moves?" And he says, "What? You think this is the moves? Believe me, you'd know the moves. People 10 tables away would know the moves." Then she gets an idea. And Ted says he's interested. The woman says, "And to preface this, we're not going to sleep together tonight." Ted says, "Less interested," but they both laugh. She thinks that what screws up the big moments is actually the next day. She wants to enjoy the rest of the night and then never see each other again. And the rule is not even names. And tonight will make a memory that will never be tarnished. Ted loves it. They make up names. She goes by Buttercup, and he goes by Lando Calrissian. Yeah, that was great. Ted starts to say, "Our names will forever be shrouded," and then Barney comes over, tapping on the shoulder, repeatedly saying his name to brag about getting the second hottest bridesmaid while she's standing right there on his arm. And like, "Oh, honey, run. Don't go with Barney." But they both run off together.
Wedding goggles.
Wedding vows. So they exchange first names, Ted and Victoria. So back in the apartment, Lily and Marshall are in pain at this. Marshall calls it weenie ass. Marshall uses the cake as an analogy and says the cake haunts him. Go back to the wedding though, and Victoria is asking to see the moves she's heard about. So Ted steals a bottle of champagne from the bar and some glasses, and Victoria steals the bouquet. Ted creates a diversion by claiming his grass for Claudia and Stuart to kiss. Back at the apartment, Lily agrees, thinks the bouquet throwing is an evil tradition, but then she says she'll absolutely throw that evil grenade at her wedding and scream, "Crawl for it, bitches."
I actually thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, that was funny. So, back at the wedding, Ted and Victoria have found an empty room with a piano. Ted plays the entertainer while Victoria tap dances. She then sits down next to him at the piano and admits she can't really tap dance, which I don't seemed like she was coordinated enough. I believed her. Ted says it's too bad she's not going to get some tonight, and Victoria retorts that she absolutely could if she wanted to because Ted's a dude. And he agrees. Victoria starts looking at Ted's mouth, and Ted starts moving in. And then she turns away. The Muslim woman says, "We're not going to kiss." And then Ted presses the piano keys down in frustration.
It goes gong.
Victoria says, "Well, if they kiss, it becomes real. Too much or not enough tongue." And Ted says he'll use exactly the right amount. And Victoria honestly seems like she's straining not to. Like she wants to do this, but like she knows like she wants to keep to her promise here. And Victoria proposes extending the lead up to the kiss forever, approaching the kiss but never actually doing it. A drum roll. So we go to the apartment, and Marshall is upset by this very concept. And he says, "What? So what? You said goodnight, came home, and performed a drum solo?" Lily called Ted a doof. Ted says, "She was completely amazing. She was amazing and funny, and we connected on every level, and I'll never see her again." But damn it, I have to see her again. Ted decides to try calling Claudia, but Lily tries to wave him off because she's on her way to her honeymoon and wait till she gets back, but he doesn't listen. Marshall backs Lily up, but then tries to get Ted to ask about the cake. Claudia picks up, and Ted does this quick, perfunctory series of greetings. And then, before can even finishes the question, Claudia rightly flips out that he's asking about a new girl after nearly ruining their wedding over bringing one who didn't show up. And Claudia says, "And what, now you're over her?" And Ted sheepishly says, "I've moved on," which is funny, but like doesn't make any sense for the situation. Claudia asks the name and asks if it was her fat cousin Lindsay. "Don't be ashamed. She has very pretty eyes." Ted says, "No, it was Victoria."
So mean, by the way. Fat shame
Yeah,
poor cousin Lindsay.
yeah. I guess she has pretty eyes. So Claudia says she knows the guest list backwards and forwards, and there were no Victorias, and she hangs up. And we go to the commercial. Once we come back from a commercial in the apartment, Lily wonders if it might have been a second fake name. She's like, "Ooh, she's good." Marshall wonders if she was a ghost and decides it's a great idea for a screenplay. When Ted objects, Marshall admits that her picking up a bouquet proves she had corporeal form. Ted realizes she was sitting across from the bridesmaids, so they might know. Lily asks how they could possibly get in touch with the bridesmaids. Ted smiles and starts to call Barney, who we see is getting a Thai massage with her walking on his back. Barney says it better be good because he's about to enter Nirvana, which we then find out is the masseuse's name. She smacks his shoulder with her foot, and Barney says he knows the house rules. Es un chiste, which apparently is Spanish for it's a joke. I had to look that up. Did you know that?
For some reason, I did. So, well, you took French in high school, right?
Right, yes.
So I took Spanish in high school and a little bit of college. And even though, like, I cannot speak it anymore, but I will actually understand more than I think I can.
So Ted asks Barney if he's got the bridesmaid's number. He says, "You know I did." And then Ted asks Barney to call her. "You know I won't." And now suddenly they're at McLaren's, and they're continuing the conversation like right where they left off. Barney doesn't want to call. She thinks that he's on his way to India. Lily tries to appeal to the good cause, but Barney says his hands were tied. "Oh no, that was last night."
Heyo.
By the way, this might be the first time we actually see Barney successfully sleep with a woman.
Really?
Yeah, he's come on to a lot of people, but we've never seen him succeed. I don't think.
That's shocking. Hmm. Trying to think now. Like, who's he actually hooked up with? I guess, like, I'm not counting, like, people he's hooked up with in the past, but in the episode itself.
Yeah, during the series.
Yeah, maybe not.
Shocked
Oh,
that they
no, I thought of one. The Carlos's coworker, the girl where nobody knew, like, what
Oh,
she was at the parties.
poor you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay, so at least one.
At least one, yeah. So it might be the second one then. Ted offers to go with Barney to Foxy Boxing if he does this, and Barney is very intrigued by this. But you always said the Foxy Boxing girls were neither foxy nor good at boxing. So apparently he's been once before to know that they weren't good at boxing, right? So Barney makes the call. She asks what shoes Victoria was wearing, and Barney tries to say that Ted's a dude and wouldn't notice, but actually, we see a flash of the wedding where Victoria made him hold her shoes while she did a cartwheel, which I was very impressed by.
We don't get to see the cartwheel, do we?
Well, we kind of see it like go into the camera, like she goes. You see the legs and dress go flying up, and then it goes up
Yeah.
by.
I wonder if she actually did it.
Yeah, it might have just been like a little thing. So Barney reflects brown shoes with little snowflakes on them. Yeah, that does sound cute, but she doesn't know. And Barney's about to hang up, but she apparently propositions him. So Barney cancels Foxy Boxing. Lily proposes calling the hotel. She says a couple of variants of the name they'll try. Then Marshall chimes in with Ictor very excitedly, which he quickly realizes isn't likely. Ted decides it is fate as he's not meant to ever find her again. He's been saved from himself, and now he wants to drink many beers. Do you have a problem, Ted? Just a little drinking, maybe? Uh,
And I
then we
guess
cut to
he's,
the
drinking beer again, this episode. Kinda actually looking now to see who's drinking what. Yeah, I guess everyone's actually Lily's drinking her wine and Marshall and Ted are drinking their beers. Barney's drinking a whiskey. Alright, maybe they are consistent.
so at the apartment. Lily's on the couch, and Robin comes over. Robin is now the substitute weekend news anchor. Robin's happy, but she says she feels bad for leaving Ted. Lily says it's fine. Actually, she spills the whole story. But when we come back, Robin has her mouth gaping open and says she knows who she is. Shock. Commercial break.
Did Lily not realize that Robin had feelings for Ted? Is she just being oblivious here?
I think. I mean, maybe she was hoping, but like she didn't know. No, Robin. Like I guess Robin had never like admitted it to before, as we'll see in a moment. So maybe Robin was like acting cool and like just like
Maybe.
taking in what Lily was saying, but not like showing anything.
That would track for her.
Yeah, so Lily's probably thinking, oh, Robin's not as into him as Ted was, so like it's fine, right? So back from commercial, and we're at the wedding because Robin is relating to Lily what happened. It turns out that Robin came late to the wedding to surprise Ted, but then she saw Ted and Victoria, and she ran to the bathroom and started sobbing. Poor Robin. Then
Horrible.
Victoria comes to the bathroom and checks on her. We can see her shoes on her stall door. So that's how Robin knows what the shoes are. Victoria offers for her to come out, then told she's an excellent hugger. Robin says that she never cries in front of people or really ever. And Victoria asks why. And then back in the apartment with Lily and Robin, Lily answers the question. Robin has feelings for Ted. Robin half heartedly says she doesn't know, maybe. So I think, yeah, it's like Robin's been like deep down burying whatever these feelings are, and she's only barely admitting it to Lily in this moment. So, yeah, Lily freaks out that they like each other, so they should just be together. Jeez Louise, happiness is not that difficult. But Robin's also freaking out here. She likes Ted, but doesn't think she loves him. And Lily points out that crying out seeing the person with someone else is how you feel. And Robin admits it then, and she says, "Are you happy?" And Lily is beaming out. She's like, "Kinda, yeah." But Robin lays out the facts that are still in the way that she's said the whole time: kids, travel, marriage, differences on those.
Mhm.
Robin says she's going to find Ted, and Lily asks what she's going to tell him, but Robin doesn't know. We go to McLaren's, and the guys are at the booth. Barney is relating his night with the bridesmaid. He convinced her to give him $50 for a cab to the airport because his money was all converted to India dollars. They're
India
rupees.
dollars.
Yeah. And he's amazed that he got paid for sex. Ugh, that's too funny. He he jokes that he should give the money to the Peace Corps to thank them for all they've done for him. So Robin and Lily show up then, and Robin asks to talk to Ted privately, which by privately she means like just standing right by the booth. So
Well,
that
because you remember, like, in the world of television, if you walk 2 feet away from somebody and speak at a normal volume, they can't hear you.
absolutely not. So Robin starts to say something, but then Ted's phone rings and he excuses himself because it's Stuart, who we see hands the phone to Claudia and they're in the airport. And Claudia seems to be barely containing her rage.
She
Claudia,
I
hmm?
read her as a little tipsy.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, probably both.
Tipsy and like trying to contain and stay like solid and calm. Claudia says, and because we see in what she says here, so Claudia says that Stuart and a vodka cranberry, which she complains was $10 at the airport bar. LOL.
Also, why are you complaining about that? You spent $400,000 in a wedding and you're complaining about a $10.50 cocktail?
Well, that would probably be a $20 cocktail these days.
You probably would.
And she rants about, when is this plane gonna board? So you can see it kind of like her anger is eking out, but they convinced her to apologize so she doesn't seem like a crazy person. And I don't want my husband to think I'm a crazy person. So Ted accepts the apology. And Marshall urgently mimes eating a cake to Ted, which reminds Ted to ask about the cake. So Robin notices this and she looks really worried. Then we flash back and forth between the bar and the wedding. Robin asks who Victoria knows at the wedding, and we learn from Claudia that it's the Buttercup Bakery. We then flash to Victoria giving Buttercup as her made up name. Then Victoria in the bathroom tells Robin she made the cake. Ted hangs up and reveals that Victoria made the cake. Marshall wants Victoria to move in with them because of this. Ted says that he needs to go down to the bakery right now. Lily tries to stop him, and Marshall's upset about her doing that because of the cake. And Lily tries to prompt Robin to say something in that moment, but Robin hesitates, but tells him to go to it. And kind of like Ted, like she's like they want the other person to be happy and go do the thing that you want to do. So it's kind of echoing, I think, that moment with Ted and her job in some ways.
Oh, a little bit. Yeah, yeah. And it was so interesting too, because you know, I wonder what would have happened if Claudia hadn't called, where the onus would have been on Robin to, because when she leaves the conversation with Lily, she says, "I don't know what I'm gonna tell Ted." I think based on what we see here, I think she would have told Ted about Victoria.
I think she was very much on the edge and still trying to figure out, but yeah, I think she ultimately would have backed down and not put herself out there and had the reasons why she and Ted were kind of reasserted themselves in that moment.
Mhm,
Yeah, but I think it forced her hands definitely when Claudia
mhm.
called. Barney pumps Ted up here and tries to get him to suit up. Ted first says yes and then no, and Barney is upset. Now we understand now to understand why Ted said this in this moment. We go back to the wedding, and Ted and Victoria are coming back into the dinner venue and find that the wedding had been cleared out. People are cleaning up, and Victoria says she was looking forward to one last dance. And Ted finds a CD playing boombox and presses play. They start dancing. Ted and Victoria flirt in part about how sexy they'd find each other's frumpy looks. Then we're in the cab, arriving at the bakery with Ted, Barney, Marshall, Lily in the cab. Marshall is in the middle back seat, which does not look comfortable, but I mean, 'cause he's so big. But I guess they had to have him in the middle for the next scene to work. Marshall asks Ted to grab him a cupcake.
It's just like the pilot.
Oh yeah, it is.
Like, the whole gang crammed into the car, like, to accompany Ted on this grand romantic gesture.
Yeah, true. So we're back at the wedding, and Ted really tries to kiss Victoria this time, and she pulls away. He tries to get her to tell her last name, and she just shakes her head and smiles. Ted points out a flaw in her plan, and she asks what it is. It's saying goodbye will be painful and ruin the memory. So Victoria then smiles and tells Ted to close his eyes and count to five. He does, and when he opens them, she is gone. And he does this classic Ted. He puts his hand over his heart. He's touched and wounded. In the cab now, Ted is waxing poetic about that moment and how maybe it was meant to be perfect, and he's going on and on. Marshall in the back is like kind of nodding off and then like glancing at Barney, and then Barney leans over and says, "The meter's running, dude. Crap, or get off the pot." and so that gets him into a high gear. At the bakery, Ted sees her through the window, and she's making cupcakes. The music rises. He comes in. She looks at him, says, "Oh, thank God," and rushes over to kiss him. And then we go to credits. So, yeah, what would you like to rant about this episode, Mickey? Anything?
Yeah, I'm ready for a couple rants. Not as I mean, I think I got a lot of it out of my system the last episode. I'm with Marshall and Lily. I think Victoria's whole proposition about preserving this one perfect memory is completely stupid. I, I have to assume Victoria is totally into edging.
Yeah, I guess so.
But, I'll say her suggesting that in the first place makes me think maybe she is kind of compatible with Ted.
Huh.
'Cause, it almost seems like, Ted, he hesitates before he goes into the bakery. He would almost rather preserve the perfection of this one night than the realness of an actual relationship.
Hmm.
I don't think that's I it's not a good trade-off. It's just not a good trade-off. If someone had suggested that to me at a wedding, I would have assumed they were married. Like, is there some reason
That
Victoria doesn't what's going
yeah,
on with Victoria that she doesn't want to see this guy the next day? Because
fair.
apparently there was no reason. They just her and then Ted, based on her suggestion, just wanted a perfect memory, and I don't I just don't see the value in it compared to, like, the messiness and the beauty of an actual human relationship.
Yeah, although, I mean, I think it did create, did create a very great night for the both of them and, like, did create a perfect memory, whatever happens to it after this. And it was fun for them, and maybe holding off helped in some way.
Yeah, maybe, like, it whatever may or may not happen after this doesn't have to adulterate that one night.
Mm.
I mean, I guess
Right. Like, would there necessarily be these feelings for each other if they didn't do that? Like, if Ted just, like, asked for the dance and then, asked her for a number or something, would that result in anything?
maybe the thinking that all the time we have is this one moment made it feel more precious.
Yeah, maybe almost the world's ending kind of, like, feelings, perhaps.
Yeah, kinda like that. And, I think I'm actually gonna go back and disagree with myself where I was
Okay.
thinking, you could, preserve, you could look back and say that was a wonderful memory regardless of what happened afterward, but memory every time you remember something, you inevitably change it. It's a very fluid thing, and not a reliable thing. I guess you're gonna filter, your memory of an experience through whatever happens after the fact. So if things go south, for Ted and Victoria, they might look back at that night and it might be ruined.
Although, I guess if we're thinking about the show as told as memory,
Mhm.
then seems like it was a good memory.
Good point.
I guess I don't know if the writers know what's coming up, but, at this point, but yeah, at
Yeah,
least we could say that that's what's happening in the show.
let me know what they say in the podcast. When At some point, I'm gonna go back and listen to this podcast. I've just decided I don't wanna ruin it for me.
Yeah, yeah, or after. We can update people if we need to.
Yeah. I'll also say I thought that the dovetailing of the A and B storylines I mean, I Lily Marshall loving that cake, I wouldn't even call that a B storyline, but it was really clever. That was really well done.
Yeah.
And also the way that we talk about this now, the way that it all of a sudden occurred to you and me that last episode, Claudia, it was Victoria she was screaming at about Tahitian vanilla. So the whole thing, it's such good writing.
Yeah, it really is.
Well, those were my lingering thoughts. How about you?
Yeah, I didn't have anything I particularly wanted to talk about the episode.
Any that's so what's? I think you pointed out a couple while you were recapping.
Oh, yeah, I mean, the one I wrote down was the Boombox D player.
Mhm.
What was the one I also mentioned?
Chicken dance.
Ah, the chicken dance, yeah. That may well, we'll have to have people write in to see if that's true. But
Mhm.
definitely the Boombox,
Yeah,
like,
we'll
people
take
using a phone or yeah, just a phone these days, or a laptop maybe.
yeah.
So, Mickey, what did you rate this episode?
Um, I also gave this one a 3 out of 5. 3 out of 5 brown shoes with snowflakes on them.
Yeah.
Um, I rated it a high just because of how much I like Victoria, even though I thought her idea was stupid. she just really charms me.
Absolutely, yeah. So I gave it a 4 out of 5 cupcakes, and yeah, I mean, I think maybe like partly putting myself in Ted's shoes, like this seems like a great night to experience with someone, and seems like it could be a great start of a romantic relationship in that kind of like you know hopeless romantic mode of like
Mhm.
courting and having a grand romantic moment work out. Um, so I think that part of the episode really resonated with me.
Mhm. Yeah.
Also, I mean, like, the way it was written, like, Robin dealing with, like, her feelings and how, her choice about whether to go forward or not, and then ultimately deciding that it didn't make sense still for her to disrupt Ted's happiness because, like, she knew these reasons why it wouldn't necessarily work out. The same way Ted, did for her job, and,
Mhm.
yeah, as you mentioned, like, the way these storylines, like, all wove together, so well.
Mhm.
I think it also like the style of the show where you cut back and forth between different, like, timelines, like, really allowed them to kind of weave things together right at the end in a really cool way.
Yeah.
That was very unique on TV at the time, I believe.
Even now, I feel like we don't see as much of that.
Hmm.
I mean, I think people are really creative in their storytelling devices now, and maybe How I Met Your Mother laid the groundwork for that. But yeah, all the different creative ways that they do that, I think it's kind of unique to the show.
Yeah, I wonder if the Office, like, the mockumentary style sort of took over more um, than what How I Met Your Mother did.
I think so, like with Modern Family and Parks.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking, like, Modern Family is sort of like the successor to How I Met Your Mother, I think, in that kind of, um sitcom style, a big sitcom, tentpole, show, and yeah, they took the mockumentary type of style over, like, something more like
Mhm.
what however others did.
It definitely has its merits too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. The next week. So, yeah, 2 great episodes, I think some of the strongest at least the strongest pair of the season so far, maybe?
Mhm.
Yeah. So, next week, we'll be covering season 1, episode 14, Zip, 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 and season 1, episode 15, Game Night. And that's awesome because we'll be meeting Barney's past self.
Oh, okay. I think I remember what you're talking. Well, is Zip 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 the one where they take forever to have sex?
Yes.
Okay, I remember being annoyed by that one too because it was just an extension of Drumroll Please in a way.
Oh, yeah, yeah, I guess it is.
Thanks for listening to Puzzles, a How I Met Your Mother re-rewatch.
Please subscribe to us on your favorite podcast app and follow us at Puzzles Re-Rewatch on Blue Sky, Instagram, and TikTok. You can also send us your thoughts, questions, and feedback to puzzlesrerewatch@gmail.com.
Leave us a review, or if you're not into the socials like yours truly, tell a friend about our show.
See you next time.